Mr. Kurtogram, how are you, my friend?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I thought I would start with this. A random thought that I had on the way home. This morning, I took my GoPro. I carry my Fuji with me most days, and I went for a little walk, did some photos this morning. It was awesome. Hopefully I can make a little video. Really enjoyed it. And then on the way home, I was like, sun's going down. I'm going to, wear the GoPro in the car on the way home. And if I see anything cool, I'm going to stop and get out and take some pics.
Yep.
And it didn't quite happen. It's like freeway most of the way. It didn't quite work out the way I wanted. But then when I was nearly home, I was like, this would be really interesting to me in about 10 or 20 years. And as I was pulling into our street, I turned the GoPro on. It was on my chest. Pulled into my driveway, walked in the door, pulled my bags down, went in, gave Jem a kiss, picked up Zig, played with him. There was music blaring. And I was just like, how often would we ever get a chance to just see exactly what our life is like? What those the things that we take for granted, the moments with the people that we love, how often would we ever get a chance in the future to just have that perfect little snapshot? Jem didn't know I was doing it. I walked in, the GoPro was running, and she just burst out laughing. She's like, what the hell are you doing?
Where's Nancy? What have you got? You got your GoPro. What are you doing?
Ziggy boy! Hi! You got a smile for me? You got a smile for me? Yeah! Hi, beautiful! Hi! I missed you! Hi! Hi, I've missed you. Say hi, Zig. Hi, Ziggy boy. I missed you. I've been thinking about you all day. You been a good boy for Mum? Hello. Hi, Zig. That? What's that?
Can you see the ripple?
Yeah. What's that? I got him too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. What's that?
You got a friend in me.
Anyway, I thought I'd just put that out there on the podcast. I thought it was really nice, and I would encourage anyone to do the same or similar. Another really good thing to do is at the moment, every time we take Zig over to my grandparents' house, I make sure to record a lot, as much video as I can of him playing and interacting with them. Time is limited, and I don't take it for granted. Anyway, I just wanted to start on that note because I thought it was a really cool random idea, and I think I'm going to try and do some of that stuff more. Anyway, what's news in your life?
Same old, just working.
Yeah.
That's it, working, editing. Did some more stuff at the jeweler shop this week, which was pretty cool. Working on a bit more jewelry side of things, even though I was keen to get stuck into more watches. It was more
Yeah.
jewelry focused. He had 3 brand new Omega Speedmasters in, which he had to actually engrave. So take off with the new Speedmasters, they call them a sapphire sandwich. So it's clear on the top and the bottom, so you can at the back you can see the movement. He had to
Right.
engrave inside, essentially, like I'm not sure what the terminology is, but yeah, inside this like little, I guess, bezel on the back on the inside, and like
Yeah.
I just you forget how fine that would be. When you go when you'd get a trophy and it'd be engraved and it would be kind of a bit
Yeah.
scrappy and shitty looking. Like imagine
Yeah.
having to do that, without a laser these days, and trying to engrave something on the inside of something so small. It would be so difficult.
On a $9,000 watch. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah,
Because it's like, are you saying it's like it's not on the flat surface, it's on the inside rim underneath? Is that what you're saying?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's hard
and then the
work.
glass gets put back on. Yeah. So, it what a
So
crazy job.
is this guy qualified? Who is allowed to
Yeah.
take apart and put
Yeah.
back together a watch like that? Like, do you
Yeah.
need certification, or do you know how that works, or anyone can just do it?
Well, I think anyone can have a go, but it's more like he's authorized to do it. Essentially, I'm not sure. It's same as like a warranty with your iPhone, right? If you go get your screen replaced at the local counter, it's technically void warranty. So I imagine Omega would probably pull one of those. If you didn't get it
Yeah.
serviced or repaired at the Omega store, same as your car. If you don't get it serviced at the right dealer, well then it can void warranties and stuff. But yeah, so just did a bit more watch stuff. Did a golf lifestyle brand as well, which is really cool. They're just an upcoming.
I saw that. Was that the Biggie
brand.
Smalls one?
Oh, I did that, a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So that was a crazy collaboration with Coogee, which Biggie Smalls used to wear those jumpers.
Sweaters.
Yeah, sweaters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was a cool collaboration. It was kind of on the down low for a bit, and then when it released, everyone was pretty surprised, because there is a bit of a cult following with the Coogee brand itself. So
Yeah.
but no, that was pretty fun. But
I loved it.
I just for another golf lifestyle brand. So I guess being in that golf industry, I work with a few different up and coming brands, and then also ones that have been around for a little bit. So it's always interesting trying to reinvent it. So you're not doing the same thing for every brand as well. Because everyone has their own style, and I guess you don't want to put your style across 10 different brands, because then they all become the same. I see that with a lot of photographers.
True.
They'll work for this brand and this brand and this brand, and then it ends up all just looking like the same brand. So it's not like they're saving something special or trying different things for each brand. It's more they just do their blanket grade, and then it's or their blanket preset, and then it looks the same for everything. So it's like, how what are you really offering? But, obviously if you do quality work, that's fine. But I think with a lot of those smaller brands, maybe they don't have a branding guide or a look and feel. So they're happy to just do whatever the creative wants to do. But in doing that, they end up kind of just being put in the mix with every other brand that they're competing with, so.
Do you reckon it's good, like, it's obviously good for us if the client just says, let's just make something cool together. But it's great the first time, but the trouble is if then the next shoot and the one after and the one after, you need to have a consistent feel, because it's like all of a sudden you're locked into what you've done the first or second time. How do you think about that? I know you've told me in the past that, particularly with online brands and e-com stuff, I know ASOS and the Iconic and those sort of ones have sort of changed the way a lot of that's done, and the style is to kind of have no set style.
Exactly.
does most of the stuff that you do sort of have to fit into a formula, or does it not matter if it matches from shoot to shoot?
It just depends. So I used to shoot a lot with LSKD, and it would be every week would be, just replicate, I guess, what you did the last week. So then the consistency stays. Oh, well, so
Yeah.
the imagery is consistent online. But then there's other brands that will have, a brand guideline where they might change it, from month to month, where it evolves, But
Yeah.
I'd say a lot of brands, they kind of just want you to do the same thing that you've done before. Or if they see something else that you've done for someone else, and they'll just say, do that, So I guess they really look to you for guidance a lot of the time, which is, again, that's probably the smaller clients, whereas the bigger clients they already have a brand guideline, and they have a look and feel, and you've kind of got to
Yeah.
replicate that. So
Play by their rules.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that can be hard too, because every time you shoot, there's different conditions, different set, different lighting,
Yeah.
different model, different skin tones. Like it can be a lot harder than just click a button and click a preset, right? Which
Yeah, for sure.
sometimes if you quote for 8 hours of editing, but then it's taken you 12, like it's hard to say to the client, hey, this is taking me longer because of what you wanted. Like they don't want excuses, they just want whatever price you told them, and
Yeah.
and the end result. So it can be difficult, but I mean, if you have a good client and a good relationship with them, they won't care about how much extra it costs, as long as it's reasonable and you've done a good job. They don't, they'll be aware of that next time as well. So, but again, a quote's
It's really
a quote.
interesting. Yeah, true. It's really interesting that you bring this up, because I actually thought a bit about this afternoon. Do you know a photographer called Ben Clement?
Yep.
He was Melbourne based. I think he moved overseas for a while. He shoots a lot of like the running content.
I love his
stuff.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, as do I. And I just saw today he posted something from a shoot that he's done with Adidas, I think. And I think he's got a really defined style. Like he sort of like brings that I don't know how to describe it other than to say like a zine feel to everything he does. Everything feels like little, just like vignettes. Everything is very clean, but it's also I don't know how to describe it other than everything he does feels like a zine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about that because I know he's done a lot with like the Nike Run Club. He does that. His thing is like, I think the AMPM Run Club, but they do a lot with Nike, and to be shooting for Adidas as well. It's funny that you said if a photographer, if a brand says do your style, but the photographer's shooting for 10 different brands, like where's the line drawn? Those are two, that's like Coke and Pepsi. That's like two brands that don't really get much more bigger and competitive. So it's interesting that a photographer with a style like that can be working across the two.
For sure. Well, for him, he would have there would be nothing in the contract or whatever, he'd be booked by campaign basis. So it wouldn't be like, unless there's a clause that says you can't work for the competitor, it's kind of free reign, as long as he knows he's not going to burn his bridges. Like, I feel like, so the same kind of thing. I have a contract with Adidas, but it's within the golf market. So earlier on in the year, I actually never posted any of it, but I worked with Nike Run Club up here in Queensland.
Yep.
And we did a campaign for them, and I just never shared any images. You know what I mean? It's still my job to capture whatever brand it is. So for me, it was just, I made the decision myself, not to burn my bridge, I guess. And, I could still do the project, still happy with it, and still deliver it and produce it for Nike Run Club. But personally, I just wasn't going to share it. Yeah. So,
Yeah, that was my next
But yeah,
question. Did
again,
you
that
not
it
share it
can be a
because it
conflict.
felt
Yeah,
yeah,
just
'cause it felt like
because
a
it's
conflict of
like I
interest?
do have a contract with Adidas, so it's like even though it is golf specific, it's like I just yeah, I believe in the brand as well, so it's not like yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing, they have said, hey, you work with whoever you want. Like, we know that you need, this is your job, but obviously they would not want me to just replicate exactly what I do for them. So if I'm doing some cool edit for Adidas, I can't just copy and paste to to Nike, right?
For
It's
sure.
just
Yeah.
yeah. And again, you shouldn't want to as a creative anyway. You should want to try and, I guess, Nike has a very distinct image, and so does Adidas. So it's like you'd try and feed into each hand. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's more just the feeling, rather than actually breaking the rules or breaking contract, it's just a feeling of doing the right thing and doing the right thing by your client and your relationships. And yeah, I totally get that. It is also a fine line though. Talk about not doing the same thing for everyone else. It is a fine line if you have a style, if you get booked for a particular style, because one thing that
Yeah.
I've been focusing on a lot lately is I've been trying to work out, I've been trying to lock in what I think my style actually is. And I've been trying to keep things consistent because I tend to jump around a lot in what I do. But I've been trying to make an effort to keep things consistent. And I think that's the mark of a really good photographer or a really good, creator sort of in any field, is that you could tell one of their images without even knowing it's one of their images. And I don't necessarily mean that they look exactly the same, but something about it, some unspoken, unwritten thing just tells you that this is a Kurtogram or this is a Ben Clement.
Yeah.
Or,
This is a PJ.
Yeah. That is the true mastery, isn't it?
It is, and I feel like in the past there was a lot of stuff where people would say, "Oh, I knew it was your image straight away," and
Yeah.
and I would think, do they know that from the edit, or do they know that I've worked either with that team or with that cafe or
Sure.
that wedding? I feel like now, I'm trying to redefine my style, so I don't think that I would see an image and think that it's mine anymore. I think I'm trying to be a lot cleaner, add in, a bit of fine grain and just really work with like a more natural look than affected, I guess. So, and just work with a certain color palette as well. So, it's fun, but it's also hard to evolve, especially when you've created something that you've been happy with and that you've been booked with for years. It's tough. So Cara does literally all the editing now, and she was asked by the bridal company that I work for to produce a different grade, and she was given references, and it was kind of I guess tough at first to look at it and just be like, okay, we need to dissect a couple of these images that you've given us, and then I guess emulate it, but then make it better. You know what I mean? So it's like there's no point in us just copying the exact whatever's happened. It's like we need to make it better. So
Yeah.
and Cara was just teaching me things on Lightroom that I don't, that I never knew existed. So she got to a grade that she was really happy with. Then we had a meeting with the client, and then we evolved the grade from there again. So now I feel like Cara has come up with an even better grade than we've used for the past, 8 years. So now I'm like, oh man, I wish Cara, I guess was faced with that challenge earlier on our career. Not that it was totally different or crazy different, but it was just, to me, for my my evolved taste, it was a more minimal and natural kind of grade. So, but it still worked really well with, the color palettes. So it's exciting because now she's got that in her bag. as well. Bag of tricks to be like, oh, okay, well, if the standard, I guess, wedding grade that she had created isn't really working within a certain venue, she knows how to tweak it now, and I feel like you're never going to change unless you're faced with a challenge or someone, wants you to make a change, right? Otherwise, if you're usually if you're happy with what you're doing, you just rinse and repeat. But then that's where you fall into the trap where I see, especially within the wedding industry, there's just so many people that copy and paste, and then that's it. That's their preset for life, and that's why they're booked, which is great. But then 5 years goes on, and then you're still doing the same look, and there's new people, or people have evolved, and then it can be tough, right? Like your stuff looks a bit dated, I would say.
Yeah. But, for sure. And people's tastes change, and the style that people are asking for is going to change as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
I really like that you said that you've been sort of thinking more along the lines of less is more in the edit and in the grade, because I do actually think that is also a sign of professionalism, because by doing less, what you're actually saying is that the photo should be able to speak for itself without having to have too much style, put on too much sauce put on afterwards. If the ingredients are good, you don't need to put seasoning from Woolies on your beautiful
so a quick
bit of
question,
meat or whatever.
do you put sauce on your meat pie?
Yes.
Can't trust you. Why?
Wait, what are you talking about?
Why
You just
I
eat a
don't
meat
put
pie?
sauce? Yeah, that's just it. Well, I don't eat meat.
Yeah, but
yeah,
that's a terrible analogy, because a meat pie is literally made of the cheapest cuts of meat, and then pastry, which is like the cheapest thing. It's like,
which is the best thing ever.
It's not. Oh, the pastry is the best part. Don't get me wrong, but it's like literally.
But
like,
again, see, I think it's maybe just my minimal thinking.
Yeah. You don't even eat meat. I've lost you.
No, exactly. So I would just scrape the meat out, have the pastry, and no sauce.
Yeah.
So I'm really stripping
I
a
like
lot
it.
of things back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Let me see what else I got. There was something else I was going to say about the edit. Oh, okay. That's what I was going to say. Can you hear me okay? I think there's a bit of delay. I know personally, I actually find it's been a little bit of a struggle for me. I think in the last couple of years, I sort of not only fell out of love with photography, I think I sort of questioned whether I still wanted to do photography, like in the last couple of years. And I really feel like in the last few weeks and months, like I really have that passion burning again. I really have that back now. And part of that is sort of the more that I've been, forcing myself to shoot these personal projects that I do for the videos, and, not necessarily. I think maybe a part of me has thought that it was weak, or it was less cool to shoot for free. But what I've been doing is actually seeking out things that I really would like, that I would really enjoy photographing, and I think I could do a really good job of photographing, and I've gotten so much out of that. But I guess what I'm tying it back to what we were saying is what has been quite stressful, and what has maybe partly pushed me away from enjoying my photography is I really felt a bit lost, and like I didn't have a style anymore. And when you shoot something and you don't automatically know, or you don't even have an idea of how you want to edit something, then that is when you end up taking photos, you load them into your computer, and you never look at them again, because it's like that extra step has been a little bit of a point of, it's been a little bit stressful, a little bit of a pain point, because you take the photos, maybe you're excited to take them, but then it's just all of these steps in between actually, publishing or having this final product. And, in a way, that has been the real beauty of the X100V, is because it removed all of that stress from photography for me. I punch in my film simulation on the back of the camera and I shoot JPEGs and I post JPEGs. And like we've definitely spoken about in the past, all those steps of having to back it up, make a session, do your selections, do your edits, export, Dropbox, AirDrop, whatever. It's just, at the end of the day, it's necessary, but most of it's faff. It's actually not. It's not the fun part of photography, is it?
No.
So yeah, I don't know if I actually have a question for you, if I'm just verbalizing it or thinking it through as we're talking. But the fact that I'm feeling good in the edits and in the in the pictures that I've been making has been honestly a big weight off my shoulders. And I just really feel like at the moment, like I said this morning, I got to work early and I was pumped. I was like, I'm going to go for a walk and take some pictures. And, a year ago or 2 years ago, I would have hit snooze and got to work just on time, Yeah.
But also,
Again,
you've posted those images already, and it's the same day. Like, that's wild. When you think about how much of a hurdle that is for us, for other people, to capture something, to edit it and post it. I know that is the job, but it can become, it is like that crux or it's something you have to overcome sometimes. And you know what I mean? Like, it's big ups to you for being able to just, you were excited about it, you captured it and you posted it, right? Like that's awesome. Like that's freeing as well, right? You get to, I don't know.
it's so freeing.
Exactly. So, and again, it's for no enjoyment other than your own. And now that it's up, that's it. That moment's gone. Now you can focus on the next. Like that can be the tough thing with, working in this industry is, if you're not finished with a job, it's always in the back of your mind. Or as you said, like I can go and capture something, and if it's not for anything, it'll just sit on my computer, and then I never get around to editing it, never get around to posting it.
Yeah.
There's so many things that we probably capture that haven't been posted or even edited. Like that's wild when you think about it. So that's why I feel like if you're really excited on a project or something, you kind of just need to get it up and out straight away, and then that way it's done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because if you don't do it same day, I'm telling you, even the next day, it's gone. Like it's literally gone. That moment's gone. That feeling's gone. That again, if it's a sunny day, you've captured this nice afternoon light, whatever. The next day's raining, it's done. Like it's a totally different mood, different feeling, a whole nother day. Like. So it's pretty awesome, especially on the X100V, to be able to just, literally Wi-Fi upload. I love that I can take it, we went to the AFL and I just put it in my pocket because it is pocketable, and then just, took a couple of snaps and then bam, it's straight up. Like, rather than, I guess, the feeling from an iPhone is that I just always want more out of an image. I think the iPhone video is great because you can capture in 4K, you can cut, you can literally add filters, whatever you want. So that I feel the iPhone really excels with that video side of things, especially autofocus and stuff like that. So, but for photo, I'm always feel like I'm lacking. So that's why it's cool to have a camera on me to be able to post then and there in the moment,
Without sounding dramatic and over the top, and I'm also aware of the fact that how often we bang on about this camera, and I wonder
Yeah.
if people get sick of hearing it that aren't interested in Fuji cameras. But without trying to sound dramatic, I actually think that this, purchasing this camera, whatever it was, 8 months ago, around Christmas time, I actually think purchasing and using this camera, may have saved my photographic life and career. It really has just given me a reason to enjoy taking photos and to want to go out and take photos. And I'm so hesitant to verbalize that, because I don't want to encourage anyone to feel like they need to spend money. And it's not exactly a cheap camera. I don't want to encourage or put out into the world that you need to buy something to fix a hole, because that's just a terrible slippery slope. But the joy and the just what I've gotten back from using this camera has just paid for itself time and time again. And I'm really happy that I got it. I'm happy that you bought it and pushed me over the edge to buy it shortly after you did, because I don't think I know I definitely wouldn't have if you didn't impulse buy one. So yeah, without trying to be dramatic, I genuinely think this is camera has saved me.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think it really serves a purpose for us. But if I was a brand new camera operator, I think the camera would be a tough navigation, I feel. Don't you think? Just because of the way that it functions, with the older style buttons and knobs. I feel like if I was to give it to someone, they couldn't just click and shoot unless I had it set up on full auto mode. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I have to say, I've actually, for the last couple of weeks, I've put in some parameters a bit, and I've been shooting it in full auto mode. Apart from the focus point, I've just set minimum. I've just put it on A, and then A for the ISO, and then I've just set maximum ISO, I think, is 3200, and then minimum shutter speed is 100. And for at least a couple of weeks, I've just been shooting it like that as a point and shoot, and then you just dial in the exposure computation, and it's just another barrier for me, because I know how to shoot in manual, right? It's not that I don't know how to do it. It's just that it's another step that I can take away that is getting in between me just taking pictures for fun. I've actually enjoyed testing the limits out on that, and so far I've been really happy with how it's performed. I know what you're saying though, because sometimes when you do try and shoot it in manual, it does slow you down a bit, and it does require a little bit more thinking. You've got to actually,
as well. Yeah.
Turn the aperture ring.
Yeah.
You've got to, pull up the dial to change the ISO, that sort of stuff. Which is nice. That it's nice to have that tactile process as a part of your photography. It really is a nice experience. But at the moment, I've just been shooting it just on full A and loving it as well.
See, that's interesting, because I feel like I've been shooting it on what I would call shutter priority mode. So I would, I would have my ISO, whatever it needs to be, and then shutter speed at quick enough that I'm going to freeze an object. And then if it's too bright or too dark, then I'll just actually change the aperture, which usually would be the other way around, because a lot of the time I'm shooting with it on the golf course, so I'll shoot at 5.6 or 8, and it's like I would never do that with my professional body. I would always go at 2.8 or 1.8 or 1.4, because I'm trying to get that depth of field. Whereas if I'm just on course, like more, I guess, what is it, like street photography, but on the golf course, It's more, you know, I guess in the old days you would preset your focus distance, or your aperture at f8 or f11, f9, f11. So
Yep.
then if someone did walk in frame or something happened, that would be in focus. So again, it's just another style of shooting, and that's why it's exciting probably to use that camera, because you can use it in so many different ways, right?
Yeah. Here's a good one. It relates to this camera, but I think it also just relates to photography in general. I think we've all sort of been taught that, an overcast day or what would sort of typically be classed as like a gloomy day is something that's sort of good for portraits, like because, there's less harsh light or whatever, and, your model doesn't have to squint and whatever else. Apart from maybe a few sort of like niche cases like that, I think I've just decided that just cloudy days just kind of suck. Like everything just looks shit. I've because it's been winter, basically every time that I've shot, street photography in particular, basically anytime I've shot this camera in the last couple of months has been a cloudy day. And I've sort of tried to pick different, film simulations that would complement that would maybe, I've tried to pick ones that look a bit warmer, and then I've tried to pick ones that would be kind of super bleak and dreary to sort of like complement the dreary day. But, this morning with, beautiful blue sky and golden sunlight early in the morning, I'm just like, this is so much better. Everything looks, just there's beautiful light everywhere. Everything just looks amazing. If you want shade, you just go and stand in the shade. Like cloudy days just suck. I think to shoot on a cloudy day, there needs to be something really striking in the image. You need to have maybe a golf course is a good example. You've got beautiful bright green tones around you, so you can probably get away with an overcast day on a golf course. But everything else just sucks.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I think that's fair. Yeah, because, especially for street photography, like I really like the harsher shadows on the ground of a person or a pole or whatever. And even on the course, same thing. It's like the sun is your friend, because there are so many trees around. They create shadows, and then it's like the difference between the light and shade is what makes the image, rather than if it's all just shady, nothing. It might be nicer on skin, but then again, it's like there's just no brightness. Yeah, like your sensor loves light. So, I just think, I don't think shady days are good. Maybe for weddings, just because I guess it's more consistent then, like rather than if it's, especially for ceremonies, usually if they're out in the sun, it's just like the shittest light just hitting everyone.
Yeah, true.
That's
true.
really, really tough. But for later on, I feel like when you can control the moment, sun's better. Yeah.
Because something else that we don't, think about too much, we think of daylight as daylight, 5,500 kelvins or whatever it is, 56, 55, whatever. But really, like, the color of daylight varies so much. Like if you go on a beautiful sunny morning, that daylight is going to have some real nice punchy, like warm colors in it. Whereas on a cloudy or rainy day, that daylight's going to be pretty cool. That's going to be, less than daylight. And the thing is, when you have that sort of light hitting everything, not only is it not illuminating the thing, but you're actually not, giving the buildings or giving your models or subjects any color from the light. It's basically just washing out everything. And I just find that trying to bring that back in Capture One, let's say, it just is no good. Like sometimes it's like, I hate pushing the saturation slider. I feel like it's just a cop out. It's like what you do when you very first get into any sort of photo editing. You're like, okay, I'm going to start this slider gives me color. I'm going to go more color. Look, it's a necessary evil, but I try and, I try and make that my last resort. But it's like sometimes on a shitty day you can push the saturation slider, and it's just like you never have enough color, and then when you do, it's too much.
Yeah.
Tool of the week. Have you got anything?
Oh, I don't know.
I can start. I can stall for you.
Yeah. Actually, the tool not of the week is the tool of the not of the week, whatever, is this Satechi keyboard. I'm not going to say it's a piece of shit,
that looks
but
so much like my Apple one.
Yeah, except your Apple one is $279, and then this one is not that. So it's very similar, but
is it no good?
The issue that I have is the spacing of the keys. So it's
really?
they're just not in the right spot. Whereas the last Satechi, I had the model before this, and it was great. It was really good. But the issue with that one was after over 2 years, it wasn't holding charge. So then I upgraded to this one, and this one is now for sale. If anyone wants to buy it. No, just because it's just I'll start typing, and then all of a sudden it's you're just typing the wrong letters. I just think the spacing must be a little bit off. So I've been in the market to look at a new one, whether I buy the Apple one for $279, or I was looking at the mechanical Keychron keyboards. So if anyone has had experience with them, let me know or let us know, because I would love to purchase one of them, because they're only about $145, but they just seem a bit more tactile, and I'm just not sure.
Can you get them wireless?
Yeah.
Because every YouTuber with a desk setup or whatever has a beautiful mechanical keyboard on it, but usually they have these really thick loopy cables on them.
Yeah,
no. Just like I can't.
The Keychron ones are fine, and you can actually you can choose what I guess density the keys are as well. So they've got a couple of different levels to have that more tactile experience or less. So for me, because I've been using the keyboards for the last forever, I would say on Macs that are only this thin, to go to a chunkier keyboard as such, I just wonder how that will feel.
It might be weird.
Exactly. Yeah, it might be. I'm thinking it would be great for typists, but for me who wants to quickly glide over commands and single buttons, maybe it's like anything, I'd probably get used to it. But I like the look of the Keychron one, and it's mechanical. So yeah, but it is wireless. So I don't know. It's something that I've been thinking about.
The only real thing that holds me back from a mechanical keyboard, because obviously they look beautiful, but they are very noisy. And the beautiful thing about the Apple keyboards, love them or hate them, I think a lot of people don't like them, is they, I can be on the podcast here with you, and I can be typing a little note of something that you've said, and, it's not going to clack, come through the microphone. So that probably is not an issue for you or for most people, but for me, the clacking noise is kind of a deal breaker, I think. My tool of the week is just the GoPro chesty mount. It's just it's come into handy so much for me recently. I have to say, between the version 1 and the version 2, I'm a little bit torn. The version 2 is really comfortable because it's got padding on the back, but the only thing I don't like about it is you have to fully pull it over like a singlet, whereas the version 1 you could clip it off from the front, but it's less comfortable. Stay tuned for version 3, I think, but the version 2 is very comfy once you've got it on, and I've been getting a whole lot of use out of that. I really enjoy it. And one other thing, one little quick amendment to last week's tool of the week, the lens hood that I got that I was complaining about, it actually did come with a little, what's the word? Like a little rubber gasket in the packet. And I'm assuming that is, well, I'm assuming it's for putting between the ring and the lens hood so you can tighten
100%.
it down and wedge it in, which I've done, and it works very nicely now. So after me talking a bit of shit about it last week, I just wanted to amend that and say it's my fault.
Maybe that's what I can try with mine, is put just a little rubber band that's about the same circumference, and then wedge it
Yeah.
in, because it obviously kept falling off.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. All right, let's leave it there. That's almost perfectly 45 minutes by my count, so perfect timing. Thank you again for joining me this week, mate. It was a bit of a random one, but as always, I enjoyed it, and it's almost like photography therapy, these sessions, I've found.
Yeah.
Because not only do I get, things off my chest that I've perhaps been pondering, but I think also sometimes when you talk through it, you talk through it. You come to more realizations that you didn't realize
resolution.
that you had.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate the therapy. As always, if you've enjoyed the episode, the best way you can support us is by leaving a thumbs up on this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one.